What's going on, guys? The Comics Kid 2099 here. Welcome to day 120 of the 365-day graphic novel review challenge. Over the last few days, I've been talking about different sword and sorcery comic books, mostly in the Conan the Barbarian universe, and today I'm going to be talking about another Conan book. This is Conan and the Midnight God. This is a 5-issue miniseries from Dark Horse by Joshua Dysart and Will Conrad. Not to be confused with the actor Will Conrad from the 70s and 80s. This is a different guy. And this is a story that is very similar to Conan and the Phantoms of the Black Coast, which I talked about a few days ago. Very similar premise where Conan is very newly the king of Aquilonia, and then an evil magic user kind of prods him into going on this adventure. Here, the evil magic user is from Stygia, and he comes to Aquilonia pretending like he is on a peaceful mission trying to restore relations between Stygia, which nobody else in the world likes Stygia or the people from Stygia, so he's going around pretending like he's trying to restore Stygia's image, and then he goes to Conan specifically, gives him a few gifts, and then Conan is like, okay, you can stay the night, and then Conan changes his mind. He says, I want you out, and the guy says, well, I want to congratulate you on your wife's baby that's going to be coming very soon. And then shortly after the Stygians leave, then Conan's wife gives birth, the baby dies, and then Conan takes his army to go and kill the Stygians. And then we get a kind of typical Conan story. He gets to fight lizard people, he gets to fight other kinds of monsters. He encounters this boy whose family was destroyed by the Stygians, and he kind of follows Conan into this adventure. It's a very similar story to Phantoms of the Black Coast, where we also had an evil magic user who came to Conan shortly after he became king and was trying to use him in a mission of her own. It's a little bit different here. One thing that I think was actually done better in Phantoms of the Black Coast, the evil person in that story, she actually had a specific thing that she needed from Conan himself. She couldn't get what she needed from anyone else. She really just needed Conan, and so she was tricking him and using him for her own purposes. The bad guy that we have here, we find out that the reason that he went to Aquilonia to try and bait Conan into coming to Stygia was that he wanted to upset the world economy. He wanted to basically tumble the Aquilonian kingdom. That doesn't really make any sense because there are a whole bunch of other kingdoms in this story. In fact, there are two other armies that we get to see Conan and his people encounter on their way to Stygia. Why didn't this bad guy go to either of those kingdoms and topple those kingdoms? It doesn't make any sense why he specifically went to Conan. His evil thing that he's trying to do, he's trying to awaken the Midnight God, which is where we get the name of the story from. It seems like he could have done that without going and making Conan really angry, because obviously Conan is going to win, which I always wonder, why do these evil magic users go to Conan and try and make him mad? Because on the one hand, Conan is a big epic warrior, so it seems really weird that they would go and try to make him angry, but on the other hand, I can kind of see why they would do it at this point in his life, because he's just become the king, and maybe he's going to be distracted by all these other kingly duties, so maybe they think that they can win because he's got all this other stuff on his plate. And of course, obviously, he does win. He doesn't get defeated or distracted by these evil magic users. But one thing that I really do like about this story is that we get to see what Conan would be like as a father. He has a baby that dies at the beginning of this story, and is handled with a lot of care. You would think that it would just kind of be swept under the rug, and Conan does try to sweep it under the rug, but you can tell that he's brewing on that throughout the rest of the story after it happens, and his wife is definitely affected by it also. And I don't know this character from any other stories. I don't know if his wife was just created for this story, or if she was even created by Robert E. Howard. I'm not sure. But I haven't seen her in anything else. It's not Bellet, who is the girl that he was kind of pining after in Phantoms of the Black Coast. It's some other character. I don't remember her name. But I do like that we get to see Conan kind of being a father figure to this boy who is following him and his army to Stygia. And we get to see what Conan would be like as a father. And also, this story, more than any other Conan story that I've ever seen, shows us that Conan cannot have a happy ending. A lot of times, a lot of people will paint the end of Conan's life as he becomes king and then that's it. This shows us that after he becomes king, there's still a lot of heartache and strife that he is going to have to go through. For example, losing his son. I don't see Conan having a happy ending where he dies a 95-year-old man and he has a son who loves him and then his son gets to be the king. I don't see that happening for Conan. In fact, I haven't read a whole lot of stories that take place much later in the timeline after this where he's just become king, so I don't really know what happens to Conan after this, but I can't imagine it being something pleasant for Conan. And this really illustrates that. This shows us that Conan is going to go through a lot of stuff in between him first becoming a slave and him doing whatever he does after this story. So I really like that this shows him trying to be a father figure to this boy, and then we get to see how successful or not successful he is in the story, and this is a really good story for that to happen since he was almost an actual father in this story. So I really like this story quite a bit. I will say it takes a little while for it to get off the ground. It's near the end of issue 2 before Conan actually goes out on his quest. I think they definitely could have squeezed the first 2 issues together and made this a 4-issue miniseries instead of a 5-issue miniseries. But other than that, I really like this story quite a bit. I think it's very effective. It's a good Conan story, and it's also a good story about fatherhood and learning to do your duties whenever you come into a new position. In this case, it's becoming a new king, but these same things could apply to other people. If you're just taking on a new job, you have to learn that you can't just do the same stuff you used to do in your old job. It's a really good story that has a lot of things to say, and I wasn't entirely expecting that when I was reading this, or when I first started reading this. So I like this story quite a bit. I hope that you guys will check it out, and I hope that you guys like this video, and if you did, be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and I will be back tomorrow with a different video. In the meantime, you guys have a great rest of the day. Catch you later.